Introduction. Beginning the conversation. You are holding a book that is not here to instruct you, improve you, or demand that you become someone else. It will not measure your progress, promise you transformation, or suggest that presence is a reward you earn if you work hard enough. This is not a manual, and it is not a method. It is a companion. It moves at the pace of a conversation you do not have to answer, a walk where pauses are as important as the steps. The pages ahead are part of the Ghosts movement, a way of seeing and living that treats memory not as something stored in the mind alone, but as a living presence woven through the body, the land, the senses, and the ordinary acts of daily life. It does not separate the past from the present, or the present from the future. All three are treated as companions, each speaking in their own voice, each able to lean towards you in the middle of an ordinary day. It began in the texture of real life, not in rare stillness, but in kitchens where the tap dripped, in streets that carried the smell of rain, in the middle of interrupted conversations. It grew from the recognition that many ways of speaking about presence quietly assume a life free of interruption, noise, or fatigue. In those models, stillness is a precondition. Here, it is simply one of many forms. Presence can live in the clatter of a family kitchen, in the background hum of a city, in the way you touch the back of a chair before sitting down. It can live when you are tired, uncertain, or carrying the weight of loss or change. You do not need to step outside your life to meet it. You do not need to clear the mess, finish every task, or wait for the right moment. Presence is not an escape from these things, but a way of standing among them, noticing what remains alive in the middle of what you cannot control. The book you are about to read is a map without borders. It offers bearings rather than destinations. The chapters do not need to be followed in order, though they have been arranged to reflect a widening field of attention, beginning with memory in the body and the spaces around you, then through the crossings of life, the contrasts of light and shadow, the presence of both joy and darkness, and the quiet origin beneath every story. Along the way, you will meet the compass of memory, the idea of place as archive, the body's record of time, the thresholds that mark change, the way sound holds its own history, and the steady ground of the dot. Here, memory is not a sealed record of the past, but a living companion. It can look backward into ancestry and what has shaped you. It can lean forward into the not yet, into the ache and love you feel before an ending or change has even arrived. It can turn inward to the body's own archive, the gestures, postures, and reflexes you carry without thinking. And it can look outward to the memory held in streets, landscapes, and objects. These directions are not theories to remember, but ways of noticing which bearing is calling for your attention in any moment. This is not a philosophy to be kept at a distance. It is a way of walking inside your own life. You will not find instructions to follow, steps to master, or ideals to match. You will find invitations to recognize what is already here, the patterns you repeat without naming, the threads of connection that have survived every change, the way your breath, movement, and senses carry more of your story than your mind alone. Where some approaches to presence urge you to be here now by leaving behind memory and anticipation, the Ghost movement treats both as part of being here. The past holds anchors and warnings. The future carries care and longing. Ignoring them risks cutting yourself off from what makes life meaningful. Presence is not a narrow point in time, but a field where past, present, and future can stand together without needing to be resolved. The word ghosts here does not mean superstition or fear. It means the traces of what matters, still here even when its original form has gone, a photograph that remains on the wall long after the person has left the room, a path worn into the grass by footsteps you no longer see, a gesture you make without realizing it belongs to someone who once taught you how to be at home in yourself. Ghosts are the marks of continuity, proof that absence does not mean disappearance. Because this is a book about living with what remains, it does not separate the so-called positive from the so-called negative. Light and shadow are treated as partners, not opposites. Joy without the depth of shadow becomes thin. The sorrow of loss or change without any light becomes endless. The movement between the two is where life gains its shape. You will find chapters that sit in darkness without rushing to escape, and others that welcome light without pretending the dark never existed. The language here is plain, though the subjects are not simple. You will not need special knowledge to enter, only your own life as it is. The ideas will meet you in a memory that surfaces uninvited, in a sound you realize you have not heard in years, in the feeling of crossing a threshold you cannot uncross. You might find yourself returning to certain passages, not to study them, but because they echo something you have always known. If you are looking for closure, this book will not give it to you. If you are looking for permission to remain unfinished, it will. If you are looking for a way of living presence that can hold noise, fatigue, and unresolved questions, it will meet you there. The ghost movement will not promise to heal you, but it will recognize what you carry and walk beside you as you carry it. Presence here is not something staged or performed for others. It is the parent who notices the weight of a child's head on their shoulder while the washing machine spins. It is the worker who feels the grain of a desk beneath their palm before sending a difficult message. It is the neighbour who pauses at a doorway, remembering every other time they have stood there. It is the small act, repeated without audience or reward, the moment of noticing that needs no one else to see it. As you read, you may find your own memories rising, unplanned. You may notice the way you stand when you are tired, the objects your hands reach for when you feel unsteady, the streets that seem to hold more of you than others. You may see how often your life circles back to the same people, places, and gestures. This is not the book creating something new in you. It is showing you what is already here. You are already in contact with presence, even if you have been taught to look for it elsewhere. You are already walking with memory, even if you have been told to let it go. You are already living in the field where past, present, and future stand together. This book does not give you that field. It simply points to the ground beneath your feet and says, "Here it is.